The instrumentation of UV visible spectrophotometer includes light source. The light source will be produce the light. The range of UV is 200 to 400 nanometers. The visible light range is 400 to 800 nanometers light. These range of lights are produced by the light source. So the light produced by the light source having more than one wavelength. More number of wavelengths are present in the light produced by the light source. The light is called as polychromatic light. Now the polychromatic light produced by the light source passing through the monochromator. Here the monochromator, as the name suggests, mono means singular, specific, single or one. So that's why the monochromator nothing function is it will be convert the polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Means the more number of wavelengths will be there, from that the monochromator will be select the appropriate single wavelength light. So that is the monochromator. So the monochromatic light, here the function of monochromator converts the polychromatic light to monochromatic light. The produced monochromatic light passing through the sample cell. Here the sample cell, when the light will be monochromatic light will be fall on the sample cell, some amount of light will be absorbed, remaining will be transmitted. So the absorbable light and the transmitted light will be detected at the detector. At the detector, how much amount of light will be absorbed and how much amount of light will be transmitted will be detected. After that, the detector will be detect the light transmitted in the form of electrical signals. Now the amplifier will amplify or integrate. The amplifier will be amplify the electrical signals into human readable form that will be represented in the form of absorbance. So that will be nothing but we are calling it as recorder. So this is the block diagram representation of UV visible spectrophotometer. So this is the classification of the different components of the UV visual spectrophotometer. The first light source will be there. In this light source, we have different light source commonly we are using: tungsten filament lamp, hydrogen discharge lamp, deuterium lamp, xenon discharge lamp, mercury arch lamp. Except tungsten filament lamp, remaining lamps are produce the UV radiation. The tungsten lamp only produce the visible radiation. Next, monochromators. The function of monochromator already we have discussed. Monochromators will be convert the polychromatic light to monochromatic light. Here we have different type of monochromators are there: filters, prisms, gratings. In filters we have again two types are there: absorption filters, interference filters. In absorption filters again we have two types are there: glass filters and gelatin filters. In prisms, we have two types of prisms are there: reflection type of prisms, refraction type of prisms. Gratings, two types are there: diffraction gratings and deflection type of gratings. Sample cell, and the next is detector. We have four types of detectors commonly using in the UV visible spectrophotometer: photovoltaic cell, phototube, photomultiplier, photodiode array detector. The photovoltaic cell also called as photobarrier cell. Phototube also called as photodetector, photomultiplier, and photodiode array detector also called as PDA detector. This is the short form of photodiode array detector. First, the light source. For visible region, we are using only single lamp, that is nothing but tungsten lamp. The tungsten lamp is nothing but the commonly used lamp in our households, that is the tungsten lamp. So generally at what wavelength it will be produced means around 250 nanometers to 200 nanometers it will be giving. It function as a normal electrical bulb. So it functions as a normal whatever the bulb we are using in our home. So what are the different problems or disadvantages of this tungsten filament lamp means? So in the tungsten filament lamp, what happened here, the tungsten filament we are using. So there is a chance of evaporation of this tungsten will be happen. So when we are switch on the bulbs, So after few days, what happened? The tungsten filament wire will be disappear, because every day the some amount of deuterium, the tungsten wire filament will be evaporated. So that's why the lifespan of the tungsten lamp will be reduced or decreased. So to overcome that one, we are adding halogen to that lamp. So we are filling a halogen in that bulb along with the tungsten filament. We are filling the halogen. Now this halogen will be reduce the evaporation of the tungsten. So that's why the lifespan or life period of that bulb will be enhanced or increased. Next, the radiation produced for ultra regions or the light sources are hydrogen discharge lamp, deuterium discharge lamp. Most commonly we are using the hydrogen discharge lamp. As the name suggests, it consists of two electrodes. These electrodes are filled in a silica envelope. One silica envelope is there. In that silica envelope, we are placing two electrodes. One is cathode and another one is anode. Nothing but plus and minus charges. And now this a continuous the hydrogen discharge lamp. The hydrogen will be filled with the high pressure. In the hydrogen discharge lamp, the hydrogen will be filled with the high pressure in that silicon envelope which containing two electrodes. So it will be give the wavelength range of 185 to 380 nanometers wavelength. Nothing but around 200 nanometers to 400 nanometers wavelength light it will be producing. The most commonly used light sources in the UV visible spectroscopy. That's why UV is there, visible is there. Compulsory we have to use two light sources. The commonly used one is deuterium lamp and tungsten lamp. Now we are discussing about the deuterium lamp. So deuterium lamp is nothing but it is the isotope of hydrogen. The construction working principle of deuterium lamp is similar to hydrogen discharge lamp. It is also having silica envelope. It is having also two electrodes. We are filling the deuterium with high pressure. So, but the advantage of this deuterium lamp, it will be produce the radiation 3 to 5 times more than a hydrogen discharge lamp. Xenon discharge lamp, same. The xenon is stored under pressure in 10 to 30 atmosphere. We have one glass bulb will be there. In that glass bulb, same like the like hydrogen discharge lamp, it is having two electrodes are there. The electrodes are made up of tungsten and the distance between the two electrodes are 8 centimeters. So in that bulb we are filling the xenon with high pressure. The commonly used pressure is 10 to 30 atmosphere pressure. The intensity of UV radiation produced by this xenon discharge lamp is more than hydrogen lamp. Mercury arc lamp. As the name suggests, the mercury will be filled with under high pressure. Excitation of the mercury atoms may electric discharge take place. So we are placing a glass bulb in that we are placing the mercury with high pressure. When we switch on this one, the mercury molecules will be excited. Upon excitation, the mercury molecule will be produce the UV radiation. Next is monochromators. We already discussed filters, prisms, gratings like that. The first we are taking the filters. These are the conventional. In the olden days we are using this one. It is having a limited range. Why? Because it won't produce a monochromatic light as a single wavelength. The filters will be produce a band of electron wavelengths. So it will produce, suppose if I want 250 nanometers, it won't produce single 250 nanometers. It will be produce a range of wavelengths. Suppose 200 to 400 nanometers will be there. I want only 300 nanometers. That time it will be produce a band of 250 to 350. Means it will be filtering the some wavelengths. So that's why we are calling it as filters. So we are having different filters. The first filter is glass filter. As the name suggests, the filters are made up of glass, nothing but colored glass. So how we are preparing the colored glass means during the manufacturing of the glass, we are adding some pigments like nickel, chromium to that glass. So that's why we are getting the colored glass. This colored glass will be converted the polychromatic light a wavelength band of light, nothing but monochromatic light. So the bandwidth of the wavelengths produced by the glass filters are plus or minus 40 nanometers. This is one type of absorption filter. The second type of absorption filter is gelatin filter. So in this gelatin filter, nothing will be there like sandwich. Two glass plates are there. Between these two glass plates, the gelatin will be sandwiched. Between the two glass plates, the gelatin is sandwiched. The bandwidth produced by this gelatin filter is plus or minus 25 nanometers. I want 350 nanometers means it will be produce the range of light from the 325 to 375 nanometers range of light. It will be filtered from the light source. Next is interference filters. So it will be produce a bandwidth of plus or minus 15 nanometers. The interferometric filters will be produce the bandwidth of plus or minus 15 nanometers. So this is a working construction and working principle of interferometric filters. In this interferometric filters, first one glass plate will be there. So somewhat red color, light red color will be there, that is the glass. On that glass we are coating a metal, transparent metal. Above the transparent metal we are coating a dielectric materials like magnesium fluoride. Glass plate, on the glass plate we are coating with the transparent metals. Then the above the transparent metal we are coating or we are depositing the dielectric materials like magnesium fluoride. Above that again we are placing a one metal, and the metal it will be closed with the glass. Nothing but between the glass metal what will be there, dielectric material will be there. Glass metal. In between two glass which are coated with the metal, we are sandwiching the dielectric metal magnesium fluoride. So now when the light, so whatever the straight lines are there, some vertical horizontal lines are there, that are nothing but the radiations. In this, when the light will be fall on interferometric light, so the light is called as incident light. When the incident light will be fall on interferometric filter, some amount of light will be reflected, remaining light is coming outside. The reflected light will be represented with a somewhat blue color. The remaining light is coming outside. The remaining light which is transmitted, they are together forms a constructive interference. The constructive interference of transmitted light will be there, and the reflected light will be there. The destructive interference of reflective light will be happen. So the reflection light will be stopped, only the transmitter light will be going towards the sample cell. Next is prisms. Generally the prisms are two types. The bandwidth of prism is plus or minus 1 nanometer. The bandwidth of prisms is plus or minus 1 nanometer. So generally the prisms are made up of either quartz or glass prism. The quartz prisms are used for the UV region. The glass prism is used for the visible region. So this is the function, this is the how the prism is working. The sunlight will be there, the focusing lens will be there. Through this the light will be fall on prism. At the prism the light will be dispersed. Upon disperse, the dispersed light is again focused on the focusing lens again. From that the light will be detecting on the screen. So this is the one mechanism of how the prisms are working. So I already told we have two types of prism. One is a reflective type and another one is a refractive type. So gratings. The gratings are nothing but a large number of equifacial lines on a glass coated with the aluminum film. So here the black platform represents the glass. Above the glass we are coating the aluminum films having some equispaced groove-like structures will be there. So when the incident light fall on the grooves, so the black arrows represents the incident light. So that is nothing but when the incident light fall on the grooves, so at the groove surface at a certain angle, the incident light will be dispersed into different wavelengths. So the red color, green color, blue color, somewhat light blue color we are getting. So here what happened, the monochromatic light will be dispersed into different wavelength lights. So the bandwidth produced by these gratings are 0.1 nanometer. They are very accurately produce the monochromatic light, but it is very difficult to prepare the gratings. Even though the gratings are highly effective, high efficient monochromators, we are not using. Why? Because they are very cost and it is the preparation of gratings are very difficult. So that's why the most commonly used monochromators are prisms. If they will ask what are the most commonly used monochromators are prisms. Next is sample compartment or sample holder. So in the diagram I told that is generally we are calling it as cuvettes. So they are having rectangular shape will be there, two rough surfaces will be there, two smooth surfaces will be there. So we have to touch with the rough surfaces and we have to place the sample cell in the sample holder in such a way that the light will be passing through the smooth surfaces only. So we are placing the smooth surface of the sample cuvette in the direction of the light propagation or monochromatic light propagation. So here, why the two surfaces are smooth, two surfaces are rough means here we are measuring the transmittance light and absorbable light. So if some lights will be there, they will be scattered. So that's why only two surfaces will be smooth. Through this only transmitted light will be passing. If we are the remaining rough surface will be resist the scattering of or reflection of the light. So what are the different type of cuvettes made up of? At what wavelength, what type of cuvette we are using? Optical glass. The range is 335 to 2500 nanometers. Special optical gas 320 to 2500 nanometers. Quartz 220 to 3800. Quartz for far UV 170 to 2700 nanometers. So in most cases the cuvettes in the UV visible spectroscopy made up of quartz glass. Detectors, three common types of detectors we are using. First is photovoltaic cell or photobarrier cell and photocell detector, photomultiplier, photodiode array detector or diode array detector, DAD detector we are calling as PDA detector. So listen up. So this is a construction of photovoltaic cell. In this photovoltaic cell, also called as photobarrier cell, in this we are having one metal base. The metal base is made up of copper or iron. Above the metal base, we are coating with the selenium, a semiconducting material. Above the selenium layer, we are sputtering the gold or silver. Nothing but we are coating the gold or silver. So total three layers are there: metal base layer and selenium layer and gold layer. So in such a way that due to these three layers we are getting the two barriers. So one barrier in between the gold and selenium, another barrier between the metal base and selenium. Two barriers are there. Here the metal base is act as a anode and the gold or silver base will be act as a cathode. So when the UV light be fall on gold or silver layer, that time due to that when the light will be fall on gold or silver layer, that time the layer produce the electrons. These two cathode and anode are connected to the external circuit, so voltmeter and resistance. So when the UV light be fall on the gold or silver layer, that time it will be produce the electrons. The produced electrons are try to moving towards the selenium and metal barrier layer. They will try to cross the selenium and metal barrier. Why? Because when the light will be fall on the gold layer, so more number of electrons on the gold and silver layer will be there. So according to the concentration gradient, like electrons gradient, they will try to move toward from the higher number of electrons to lower number of electrons. But when they are trying to moving, that time the barrier between the selenium and metal base resists the flow of electrons. That's why whatever the electrons are produced, they are accumulated in the which layer? Selenium gold barrier layer only. So that's why at a gold layer more number of electrons are there, at the metal base no electrons are there. That's why the difference in the electrons will be produced the potential. How much potential will be generated, we will determine by using the voltmeter. It is represented with the V. So I already discussed all these things here now only. They are primarily used for the measurement of radiation in the visible region. Mostly used for the visible region. The maximum sensitivity is 550 up to 550 nanometers. It consists of a flat copper or ferrous electrode on which semiconductor such as selenium is deposited. On the selenium, a thin layer of silver or gold is spouted over the surface. A barrier exists between the selenium and iron, which prevents the electron flowing through iron. Electrons are accumulated on the silver surface, thus produced voltage. Next we are discussing about the photo cell detector or photo tube. So why we are calling it as photo tube? It is having some tube-like structure will be there. In this tube-like structure, some half cylindrical tube will be there. Half cylindrical tube. So which is in the black color. Half cylindrical tube. So we can assume one tube will be there when we cut in the horizon vertically. So that time we are getting half cylindrical tube will be there. The half cylindrical tube inner surface, the inner surface which is represented with the somewhat blue color. The inner surface is coated with the electron emissive material. Electron emissive material such as cesium or potassium oxides. So on the half cylindrical tube, metal tube inner surface is coated with the copper, cesium oxide or potassium oxide, and exactly in the axis of tube cathode we are placing a one metal wire. It is act as a anode. These two are connected through the external battery. So when the UV light will fall on the inner surface of the cathode, due to electroemissive material, it will be produce the electrons. The produced electrons are moving towards the anode and then the voltage will be produced. So already we have discussed, it consists of a half cylindrical metal coated with a photoemissive material such as cesium or potassium oxide. It is act as a high sensitive cathode. A metal wire fixed along the axis of the tube, it is act as a anode. When the radiation will be fall on the cathode, electrons produced by the photoemissive material, the electrons produced are reached to the anode and produce the voltage. But the photo cell or photo tube is more sensitive than the photo barrier cell or photovoltaic cell. Next is photomultiplier. So as the name suggests, multiplier, multiply means multiplication of electrons will be happen. The electrons will be multiplied. It is generally used as a detector in the UV spectrophotometers. Only especially it is used for the UV. It is in the combination of photodiode and electron multiplier. So in this diagram, what happened means, we are having 9 to 16 electrodes known as dynode. So somewhat arrow-like structures will be there. They are called a dynode. First dynode, second dynode, like that it will be there. And photocathode will be there. So when the electrons will be fall on the photocathode, When the radiation will be fall on the photocathode, the electrons will be produced. The produced electrons will be strike to the diodes. So first one electron will come and strike to the first diode. So that diodes will be coated with the electroemissive layer also, like phototube only. The diode's inner surface. At the diode, one electron will be undergo multiplication. So one electron will be converted to a second electron. Now the electrons are reflected onto the second diode. Again it will be multiplied. Third diode, fourth, fifth, sixth, around 9 to 16 diodes will be there. So the multiplication of electrons will be happen. So why means why we are giving the multiplication of electrons to get the high intensity signal. If one electron will be there, we are getting a very low signal in the detector. So to get the high signal, high intensive signal, we are multiplying the electrons. Next is diode array detector or photodiode array detector. Array means one sequence. Diode array detector. At the top, the photodiode array will be there. Photodiode array will be there. A photodiode array, a sequence of a number of semiconductors will be there. So first the lamp will be there and sample cell will be there. So when the light will be transmitted to the sample cell, then it will be reached to the which one? Photodiodes. Diodes will be there here. A array of diodes will be there. So before it will be reached, the monochromator most commonly used in the photodiode detector is gratings. Now the gratings will be disperse the light into different wavelengths. So each and every wavelength will be reaching to the different diodes in the array. So the most advantage is speed and sensitivity. The disadvantage is resolution is 1 nanometer. But in the normal UV, the resolution is 0.1 nanometers. So this is the your UV visible spectroscopy